Hi. If you'd like to stand, we'll sing our call to worship. One, two, one, two, three, four. I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing love today. I'm choosing love today. I am walking the road of love right now, singing I'm choosing love today. I'm choosing joy today. I'm choosing joy today. I am walking the road of joy right now, singing I'm choosing joy today. I choose compassion today. I choose compassion today. I am walking the road of compassion right now, singing I choose compassion today. I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing I'm choosing heaven today.
Good morning, and welcome to Unity of Traverse City on a bright, almost sunny day. 2 weeks from Easter, and if you've been here long enough, you know that Easter is almost spring, as is Mother's Day. So I have a question. My name is Michael Robold, first of all, and I welcome you and all those who might be watching on YouTube today from those sunnier spots, warmer spots. But this is part of the whole resurrection story, is the fact that it's one of overcoming. And if you can endure winter here in the north, you're overcoming a lot. And I mentioned a couple of weeks ago this thing with March Madness. Does anyone know the origin of the term March Madness? Yeah, Kelly.
Think of the March hare, okay? Madness, right? And it's what rabbits and bunnies are doing right now. They're going haywire.
That's the first time I've heard that interpretation. Dave, you're a you're a historian and a basketball coach of so many years. There is a connection between basketball and the term March Madness, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I looked it up. 1939. It all had to do with the high school basketball tournament in Illinois, and then a sports announcer, Brent Musburger, he brought that up in the NCAA Division I basketball tournament, which is happening right now. Does anyone pay any attention to that? Okay. Anyone know the scores from the two universities from Michigan? Okay, they won, right? All right. Good enough. All right, so just to throw in something else, there is another term in the fall that I heard for the first time maybe 40 years ago from a woman in Benzie County who was quite well known for her artwork, batik, Terry Haugen at the time. Does anyone know the term I'm referring to? In the fall when it's called hunter's heat. Think about that, okay? Anyway. We have a number of announcements, none of which I've given so far.
But we wish you had.
I know. So next Sunday, the 29th, there'll be a meeting for anyone who's interested in learning about the new Unity of Traverse City Social Justice Committee. So this is an informational meeting, and it's going to be facilitated by Carol Anderson. And it's all about sharing ideas about the committee as far as hearing plans currently being considered. So we're looking for people's suggestions and ideas about other social social justice initiatives and ways we can help our community in these areas. So the meeting will be held after the service next Sunday, and all are invited to attend. Also next Sunday is the last day to contribute to the basket over there. The donations referred to as Fill the Laundry Welcome Basket. So this is not about food, it's about materials that are typically used in the house for cleaning, and some of the items are paper towels, laundry detergent, and you probably have a number of other things that you can think of that would be helpful for anyone who's moving into a new home and would appreciate these items. So next week, next Sunday, the last Sunday, and Kathy Baker, who's our outreach coordinator, will deliver the items to the Northwest Community Action Agency at the end of this month. So thank you, Kathy. Traverse Indivisible, that's an event coming up also next weekend, but it's on Saturday the 28th from 1 to 3. They'll be sponsoring Traverse City's participation in the No Kings 3 March? What was that 3 referred to? Okay, so that event, I'm not going to get into the whole map of the route, but it's going to start at the F&M Park on State Street. And how many people have participated? Okay, so all are invited to participate, and it's all about our involvement in our government, of course. So if you're interested, you can look up on the Traverse Indivisible site. Is that listed on the, because I'm not going to read it off here, it's just long. Compassionate Choices Group, they'll be meeting this Wednesday from 6 to 7:30 in the Fellowship Hall. Again, conversation fellowship to support one another in living a lifestyle that reflects our deepest values. All are welcome. So I'm going to turn this over to the next announcer, Marianne.
Good morning. So today we're going to have our Earth Care Sunday, where we recommit to Mother Earth. And I'd like to begin by sharing an Ojibwe prayer. O Sacred One, teach us love, compassion, and honor, that we may heal the earth and heal each other. So with humble and open hearts, let's read our covenant together. Together, our consciousness reveals that all of creation is connected as one. As a people of faith, we commit to a renewed reverence for life and respect for an independent web of all existence. We envision a world where all beings are assured a secure and meaningful life that is ecologically responsible and sustainable. We agree to transform our individual and congregational lives into acts of moral witness discarding harmful habits for new behaviors that demonstrate our respect for this harmony and interconnectedness. We declare our covenant with God to walk lightly upon the earth for the greatest good of all creation. And this month's Earth Care Action Step is to challenge us to reduce our plastic footprint. As you know, plastic pollution is a critical problem and one that can really feel overwhelming. It does to me. Prioritizing reusable items, refusing single-use plastics, and buying products with minimal packaging are a few of the things we can do, and probably many of you are already doing that. I recently discovered the Refillery, which is in Traverse City. It's a Traverse City's refill and low to zero waste store. It's in the Mercado, and it offers eco-friendly refillable personal care items and household cleaning products, as well as plastic alternatives. Their information is on our action cards, which will be in the table in the hallway. Reducing our plastic footprint does feel daunting, but I am encouraged by a quote from one of my favorite authors, Colleen Patrick Goodrow. She says, "Don't do nothing because you can't do everything. Do something, anything." So thank you.
Thank you, Mary Ann. If you're interested in stopping at the Refillery, walk down the hall a little bit and you can see our yoga studio where we're there sometimes, usually teaching classes. There is an affirmation on the screen, our statement of unity. Let's say that together. Together, all of divine life is present where I am.
I see divinity in you. I see the Christ coming through in all of your passion for life and for love, in all of the glory that you are made of, now and forever on earth and above. I see divinity in you. I see the wonder you are, shining your light through the dark. We don't have tomorrow, but we have today. Let none of its treasures go slipping away. Here and hereafter, through love we can say, I see the wonder you are. I see divinity in you. I see the Christ coming through, exploring the vision that you've never known, inviting the presence you are not alone, accepting the Spirit of Christ as your own. I see divinity in you. I see divinity in you.
And now is the time for a opening prayer and meditation. So if you'll set aside anything you might be holding in your hands and just relax. Allow the hands to rest comfortably on your legs, your knees. And just become aware of the stillness that you create within yourself. Allow yourself to perhaps close your eyes and focus your awareness more inward Each and every breath, a reminder, I am truly alive. Alive with the spirit and essence of the Creator. No matter outer circumstances, within, I am alive with vibrancy. I feel the warmth and the life-giving energy throughout my entire body. Each and every day, I am renewed in the spirit and love of the Christ that is within, and the presence of the Creator everywhere. And I am thankful. Amen. So as we go a little bit deeper into this time of stillness, let's give thought to what is going well in your life, the lives of those you love. There is so much to be thankful for. And yet, this is not what is going on all the time. We see and we hear of things happening within our own community, perhaps within our own bodies, as well as world events. What can we do? For we are only one. What we can do is send out love. Love and well wishes to all those who might be suffering. And when we join in fellowship with like-minded individuals, there is so much power. Power to overcome difficulties and challenges. So right now, right here, we can join together and give thought to health within ourselves, health within our community, health within our planet. While the world is filled with difficulties, as Helen Keller said, it is also filled with overcoming. So whatever might be going on in your individual life, know that you can work through it. The Christ essence is within each and every one of us. So in the silence, feel that essence within you. And if you would give thought to anyone you know who could use your loving support, your healing energy as you send it out. It is especially at this time of year when we give thought to not only the resurrecting aspect of Jesus the Way Shower, but the ability to, in essence, resurrect, overcome any obstacles in our own life. And it also includes simply letting go of worry, fear, anger. And we can even take that further to release not only worn out ideas and beliefs, but perhaps worn out clothing or items in our house as we make space for the new. And that's what we're doing. We're opening our hearts, our minds, to bring in new ideas, new thoughts, new beliefs, and certainly a sense of renewed energy and life itself. And for this we do give thanks. Amen.
There's a sweetness in surrender when you see beyond your scars. It's not the things in life that you've been through that make you who you are. There's a freedom in forgiveness when you learn to just let go. Holding on so tight won't change a thing, and change is how we grow. Learning to live and learn to forgive yourself. Forgiving yourself, you can learn to forgive someone else. You'll find a way. freedom in forgiveness when you learn to just let go. Holding on so tight won't change a thing, and change is how we grow. Learning to live and learn to forgive yourself. Forgiving yourself, you can learn to forgive someone else. You'll find a way. You'll find a way. You'll find a way.
Good morning. My name is Bob White, and I am very happy to be with all of you today. I was disappointed last week for a number of reasons. First of all, I didn't get to see your shining faces sitting here in the sanctuary. And equally as important, almost, was the fact that it was the Sunday before St. Patrick's Day. And unfortunately, Mother Nature wasn't aware of that. So instead of being here with my green hat that I always wear on St. Patrick's Day, with a St. Patrick's clean Irish limerick or two, which I don't have today, but I do have the green shirt, the green sweater, and green socks. So I am celebrating St. Patrick's Day a little bit late. I might even stop for a Guinness on the way home just 'cause. And unfortunately, we weren't able to meet last week. So this is our last Lenten talk for the year. And this lesson today arrives at the heart of our journey. A series that is not just for personal reflection, but is also for personal transformation. We're at a pivotal point in this Lenten journey this month. For the last few weeks, we've talked about things, what we carry, what we want to do with them, and today we take a look at how we can set those down and let them be. The title of the talk is Radical Forgiveness as Freedom. Now, that is the mechanism in a time of all the division we're facing and the social injustice and everything else that is swirling around us at this time, that pulls us towards our reactive human nature and makes it much more difficult for us to live from our divinities. Today's message speaks directly to that and the central spiritual challenge that we all are facing in trying to get through these very difficult times. We'll touch on the nature of divine mind versus the ego, forgiveness as a spiritual practice, not as a moral obligation. A couple of the 12 powers that highlight freedom. Being in the world and not of it, choosing a divine response over human reactions. And our fifth principle, which is actually a spiritual practice as a path to transformation. So let's take just a second this morning to center ourselves with one another. Let's take a breath and bring in peace. And as we exhale, we let go of the noise of the week, the headlines, the arguments, the heaviness that we seem to carry. We breathe into the truth and the reality of what we truly are, beings of light, children of God, always held in love. From this place, we affirm divine presence, oneness, and the willingness to allow transformation to occur. and so it is. I want to acknowledge that, again, we are not living in easy times. And in 1776, Thomas Paine produced a booklet with a sentence that is just as true today, if not more so than it was then. And that is, of course, and I'm going to vary it a little bit, these are the times that try our souls. Not just men, but everybody. The world's fractured, the news is relentless, the conversations at our tables, in our communities, even in our own minds can be exhausting. And if we're truly honest, many of us, including myself, I'll put at the top of the list, have found ourselves reacting more from our human nature than our divine nature. We snap, we judge, we scroll, we seethe, we hold on to things that we thought we had already forgiven. So today I want to talk about something that is urgently needed right now, and that is radical forgiveness. This is not the kind that you take to let people off the hook. It's not a spiritual bypass. It's the kind that does more than forgive others. It sets each and every one of us free. I'd like to ask you something. You don't have to answer, just answer in your mind. Is there something in your life at this point that you haven't fully forgiven? It could be a person. It could be a situation. It could be a former partner, a parent, or a friend who betrayed some confidence with you. And maybe, if you're brave enough, and I'm not sure I am, I can look in the mirror and put myself in that category. Now, most of us carry these things physically, emotionally, and mentally in relationships where we're not fully open with our loved ones. And we carry them in a way that God can tend to everyone else, but maybe not us. What would it feel like to be totally free of those types of things? Not just politely released, not just I'm working on it, but radically, completely, spiritually free. That's what we're going to explore today. And before I get too far into that, I want to take a few minutes to talk about one of the pioneers of unity movement, Emily Cady, and her book, Lessons in Truth. That is one of the true pillars that unity is built upon. And if you haven't read it, I would highly suggest you do, because it is one of the most profound and meaningful books I have ever read, regardless of whether it's a unity book or not. I'm going to be touching on a few of her lessons in that book today, form a whole plan or understanding of forgiveness that I believe is the deepest foundation for what we are calling radical forgiveness. And in the second chapter of her book, she poses two questions, which are kind of the foundation of everything else she says in the book. The first question is, who and what is God? The second is, who and what are we? Almost everything on the book builds on that, and there are many things in there that do not sound unfamiliar to us. God does not possess qualities. God is qualities. God is love. God is power. God is wisdom. And at the point when we are experiencing those ourselves, we're experiencing love, wisdom, and power, we are in fact experiencing God. God at that point is working through us, expressing as us, and we can feel that with which we share. Try to say that fast. Spirit's in everywhere, is everywhere and everything, including us. We are not separate from God, and we are one with Spirit. In Emily Cady's philosophy, Spirit is the innermost being, the absolute part of us that has never changed and never can change. At the deepest level, we are not waiting to reunite with Spirit. We are an expression of that, and the challenge for us is to recognize that fact and to act accordingly. There's one more I want to mention at her core, which is what's called or has been referred to the statement of being, which is God is all that there is. We are expressions of the divine, and all that God is available to us by recognizing and claiming that which is already a part of us. That's nothing new to us, but it certainly is good to remember that occasionally. Now, this is where Emily Cady becomes the direct foundation of radical forgiveness. In Lesson 7, which is called Personality and Individuality, she makes a distinction that, again, we're familiar with. There's what she calls the two aspects of every human being. The first she refers to as personality, which is really our human nature. That is our small s self. That's what we work out of and use most of the time when we're acting through our own humanity. It's changeable. It's out there. And these are the parts that react from fear, that acts from woundedness, and that says and does the things that would never do if we were acting from our divinity. And then there's individuality, which is our divine presence, the real self, the God self, the part that in Cady's words is the part of the person that never changes its identity. Its wisdom, love, and power of God come into visibility through a human expression. Hold on to that. We will need that in a few minutes when we talk about what radical forgiveness actually is. Because it tells us precisely what we are forgiving and what we are not. In Lesson 12 of the book, Unity in Spirit, Cady gives us her direct teaching on forgiveness itself, and it is direct and to the point. She writes that to forgive does not simply mean arriving at a place of indifference towards those who injure us. It means far more. To forgive, she says, is to give to give back. To give some actual, definite good for any of the harm that has been given. That's her definition of forgiveness. Think about that for a second. What would happen if the world gave back love, gave back peace to everyone who had harmed them or hurt them in any way, in a concrete manner? Do you think there'd be more love and forgiveness in the world then? If we were replacing the hate, replacing the hurt, and replacing those things that harm us. Her definition is not indifference, it is not tolerance, it is active, intentional good given in the face of harm received. And she warns us, even if we don't think we have anyone to forgive, have you ever thought about anything? Well, that served him or her right. If you've thought that, you have work to do. Life, what does it look like? Or what does it look like to do those types of things? To offer something good for something that's harmed us. And you can find almost anything online these days. I found a few examples. A colleague or community member who has undermined you. Has that happened to anybody in here? Rather than simply praying for their good, actively advocate for something they need or publicity, acknowledging their contributions. Don't fight hate with hate. A public figure whose group or whose actions have harmed others. Rather than releasing the anger and moving on, you do something constructive for the people affected by that harm. So you're doing something for someone who is the unfortunate beneficiary of the harm that's being done. The giving for gets transferred to those who need it. There's also roots in Scripture about forgiveness. A couple of these verses you know by heart, I'm sure. The first is, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Think about the situation surrounding that forgiveness. Jesus was at the height of receiving all the human cruelty directed at him, betrayal, injustice, physical pain, and suffering. And yet, he offers forgiveness in the midst of all of that. When he is on the cross, he says, Father, forgive them. They know not what they do. That is one of the most radical forms of forgiveness I can possibly think of. Forgiving them, it's not condoning behavior, but releasing the energetic hold of resentment and keeping the channels of love open. This is our invitation. Can we, in our daily moments of being wronged, in political feeds, in our families, in our congregations even, in our community, in our world, access even a fraction of that consciousness that Christ showed on the cross by saying, Father, forgive them. They know not what they do. There's one more scripture, and this is in Matthew, and we've all heard this. Peter is speaking to Jesus and says, Lord, how often shall my brother sin against me and I forgive him? Up to 7 times? Jesus said to him, I do not say to you up to 7 times, but up to 70 times 7. Now, Peter thinks he's being generous, right? Hey, I'm going to forgive this guy 7 times. And Jesus says, that's not good enough, guy. You got to do more than that. He refrains forgiveness as unlimited and ongoing power. And it's not a single transaction that is done and complete. To return to it time and time again. And every time we do, we go in a little deeper and we become a little freer because of it. So let's take a look at what radical forgiveness actually is. I'm going to start with what it's not. And we've heard this before. I've talked about it before. But forgiveness is not condoning harmful behavior. It's not reconciliation. It's not forgetting. It's not weakness. It's one of the strongest things that we can do for ourselves and for others. Eric Butterworth writes, forgiveness does not mean that you approve of what was done to you. Rather, it means making a conscious choice not to allow the wrong done to you to become a poison in your own soul. And take it from me that unforgiveness left long enough definitely can poison your soul, your mind, and your life. In Unity, we look at forgiveness as a spiritual law. Charles Fillmore teaches that resentment and unforgiveness literally block the flow of good into our lives. And here's where Emily Cady's teachings really become our anchor. Remember the 2 aspects we talked about, personality and individuality? When we understand the distinction, forgiveness is not just a moral obligation or a spiritual nicety, it is something with metaphysical precision to it. What we are forgiving is always the personality, always the person, always what they say or do. We cannot forgiver? We cannot forgive our divine nature because there is nothing in our divine nature or anyone else's to forgive. That's the perfection of the divine. The God self never did anything that requires forgiveness. We have a lighted globe back there, right? Well, the light itself is the divinity. The globe is what hides it, what covers it up. That's our human nature. And that is what we're releasing. We release something that's not weakness, and it, as Katie said, true forgiveness means going further, giving actual, definite good in return for the harm given. It's a conscious choice to release the energy of resentment and the effects they have on our consciousness. It's a decision to see through what's being shown to the divine reality of the other person and act on that behalf. And it helps us to reclaim our own freedom, which is the purpose of radical forgiveness. Now, I've talked about some of the 12 powers in previous talks, and there are two more that I want to mention today. The first is love, which comes from our heart center. And it's not just a primary feeling, it is a power. It is a spiritual power that harmonizes all things and restores what has been broken. Radical forgiveness is not generated by willpower, it is generated by love. And when we help on ourselves with that power, it doesn't have to be forced. It becomes natural and even inevitable. The affirmation shows that. Love moves through me now, dissolving all barriers. I am a channel of divine love. Understanding is spiritual discernment. The capacity to observe and see that divinity below the outward appearance. It makes forgiveness real instead of just performative. It reveals that most of the harm that we receive comes from fear, not malice, and the ones that hurt us are hurting themselves or have been hurt and coming from that position. Nobody is that way just on their own. Just like us, we've all had help. I see with the eyes of understanding. I behold the Christ in you, even when it is difficult to see. It is still there. We are being asked to practice radical forgiveness in some of the hardest conditions that I think have ever been lived through. Not the hardest, but some of the hardest. Forgiving people in our personal lives who have hurt us, but forgiving across political lines, along cultural lines, and forgiving those who we feel like they are erasing the people we love and say things that are assaults on everything that we hold near and dear and believe are being sacred. And here's what gets hard. Being in the world but not of the world does not mean being passive. It does not mean we don't care. It does not mean we don't speak up. Or it does not mean that we don't act for justice. Jesus himself went into the temple and throughout the money changers, turned over the tables, and acted a little upset. But that does not change our primary motivation, which is to stay in divine mind, not the reactive part of our ego. And radical forgiveness is how we stay rooted there and being fully present to the struggle around us. And every time I do a talk and I do research, I learn something. Something comes up for me, and this is no exception. I have spoken before about my experience as a child and how I have felt about that over the years and how that affected me. And I thought that I had forgiven my parents. But once I started diving into this, into radical forgiveness, I was nowhere near that. It was spiritual bypass. It was indifference. It was, well, they really didn't mean it. well, it really wasn't that bad. Neither one of those were true. So what I have to do for me is I have to go back and read that. I have to get honest with myself. I have to get honest with my parents, which is difficult because my father's been dead for 45 years, my mother for 35. But there are ways to do that. My dad died when he was 60, my mom when she was 63. I knew I would probably outlive them, but I didn't think that I would live that far beyond their deaths. So that's a challenge. But there are ways we can do it. I can sit down, center myself, and feel both of their spirits with me. And there I can practice radical forgiveness. I can bless them. I can see them on their journey being healthy and free and alive in a different way. And the good part of that is that there's nothing my folks would love more than to see me without that weight that I've been carrying for the past 60 or 70 years. That would bring joy to their, pure joy to their spirits. So there's one way to do it, and there are others as well. We just need to find something that we can work with. But there's another part of radical forgiveness, and that is forgiving myself. Because as much as we didn't get along, I was not there for them when they needed me most and when they asked for help. I remember my mother asked me, "Why don't you go help your dad?" I say, "Sure, no problem." I never did it. I never did it. I was so upset, I was so angry that it wouldn't appear to me to do that. And I have carried that guilt with me for 60 plus years now. And it's with me in some way every day. And I know I have not forgiven them because I have all the ramifications of everything that was ever said, every opinion that I formed about myself still rolling around here in my head. When I forgive them, that loses its power. It goes away. And I can, through radical forgiveness, actually free myself from the prison I have kept myself in for all these years. That's worth noticing. That's what I am doing. I'm going to have that conversation. I'm going to write a letter. And I am going to let go of everything that I thought is true that is not, and be free of it. I came across some steps, not to do that, but to just try to practice radical forgiveness in our lives. The first is see it clearly. Be honest. This stuff hurts. Don't deny it like I did. Don't stuff it away, think it'll never come back, which it always does. Katie's framework asks us to go a step farther and realize that it comes from that person's individuality, or that individuality is there and we have to recognize it. Number 2 is separate. Release the personality and behold the individuality. Be aware of the fact that we all have those times and we are dealing strictly from our egos, right? We have to be right. You're wrong. If you change, I'll be happy. You know, if I got a new car, boy, I'd be on the top of the world and everything would be solved. Well, we know better than that. The heart of the practice is the power of love, and that's what makes it possible. To our inner awareness, where we consciously distinguish between the two phases and act accordingly. Let's be the light. Let's not be the globe hiding the light. The third step, again, gets back to the Katie thought of returning good for harm. And that can be done in a number of ways. You don't have to go back and cuddle up with someone who harmed you before or hurt you. You can just offer them a blessing. Doesn't have to be a lot, doesn't have to be much, but it has to be done. Marianne Williams said, "The practice of forgiveness is our most important contribution to the healing of the world." And I don't think I can argue with that. To carry unforgiveness is keeping you inside your own prison. The person that has hurt you has moved on, couldn't care less, or isn't even alive. Radical forgiveness cuts through those chains for us. So here's my invitation for this week. Not as a spiritual obligation, but something you can give yourself if you choose to do so. Identify one person, one situation, one group that you have been carrying resentment around with you, not that long, for a while, or for a very, very long time. This week, begin the work. Take a look at it. See it clearly. Feel it. Acknowledge it. Don't deny it. Give for, not because they deserve it, not because it's fair, because you deserve to be free. Because people need us to be free, so we can help to free the world of some of the madness. Radical forgiveness is not just a personal practice, it is a way that we can use to enhance some of the change that we hope to see. I have a closing affirmation that should be on the screen. I'd like us to say this together. Together. I am free. Is it up there? Go back. Keep going back. Go back. Oops, I guess it's not there. Oh, I thought I put it there. Okay, well I'll say a line. I am free. I release all resentment to the perfect action of divine love. I see the divine truth in myself and in all people. Forgiveness is my freedom. Love is my nature. And God and I are one in my life. As we leave here today, we can do so as people not battered by what's going on in the world, what's going on in our households, what's going on around us. We can leave as people who are rooted in the Christ consciousness within us, with the ability to see that in every person that we meet. We are in this world, we are not of it. We are love. And that, my friends, can change the world. Thank you so much, and have a great week.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you for the words of challenge and inspiration for all of us. This is our time of thinking and acting regarding the prosperity that is ours and essentially is the world's. So as you hold literally or figuratively onto what you are willing to part with today, let me read a affirmation prayer by Erwin Wolfson, and I'm not going to read the whole thing, but just the highlights. I know that this infinite resource that is God contains abundance in the world and within me. It's around me and goes forth from me to do its good and perfect work. So I affirm right now that I am in the flow of full prosperity in all areas of my life, and that includes finances, health, career, and loving relationships, especially my relationship with myself. So let's read our prosperity blessing together. God is the constant, unconditional, and unfailing source of good in my life. Well, everybody gets to stand up now. And let's gather around in our familiar circle. First and foremost, thank you all for participating in today's service, and a special thanks for our musicians, Rowdy, the greeters, and all those who prepare refreshments for after the service. Bob has a couple of announcements.
Yes, thank you, Michael. As many of you know, Gord and Lauren Berg are moving to Oregon. They have sold their house. They are in the process of moving, and they had planned to be here today, but situations came up that prevented them from doing so. They sent this letter to be read today to Molly, who is not here, so she sent it to me. It says, Gord and Lauren's short so long. Dear Unity friends, in our minds, we always pictured our last day at Unity Traverse City full of tearful hugs, laughter, and plenty of good food after the worship service. Gord had even planned to perform one last song for you. But twin colds and lack of time both conspired against us. So we entrust our so long to whoever is stuck with the task of reading this. Words cannot express how deeply grateful we are to each of you. You have, in no small ways, shared your boundless love, kindness, and compassion with us through Sunday services, special events, emails, and YouTube videos. Never doubt that the ripple impact of each seemingly small act of grace, collectively, they and you have meant the world to us. They have been a source of comfort, encouragement, and inspiration, whether you were aware of it or not. So, off we go. But this is not goodbye. It's just see you later. Traverse City will always be our community home. Unity of Traverse City will always be our spiritual home. We'll be back as often as we can. Please keep our name badges, our name tags on the inside of the closet door in the hallway. That way, a part of us will always be there with all of you each Sunday. We carry your love in our hearts with deepest gratitude, Lauren and Gordon. I also have a message I received, a text from Meg this morning that she asked for me to read. It says, will you please give everyone a message for me? I'm sorry I can't be with you all again today, but your love, support, and prayers are felt and so needed. Though my dad's cancer is pervasive, aggressive, and incurable, I am hopeful that, starting with the procedures he's having done today and tomorrow, his pain will be better managed and he will be able to improve his quality of life. I love and miss you and look forward to being with you and singing for you soon. So let's hold Gordon and Lauren and our hopes and our love that the next part of their life has been as good as the last part, if not better. And let's hold Meg and her entire family in our thoughts and prayers for her dad, for the family, and for God's grace in getting through this extremely difficult and painful situation. So let's hold them there.
Thank you, Bob. And also let's hold Brooke in our prayers. And for anyone who would like to speak with someone about a special need, we do have chaplains. One will be right here in the sanctuary, one in the hallway. So let's give thought to all those who can use the love that's in our hearts, the compassion that we share for one another, and the thoughts of healing, not only for individuals, but the planet as a whole. And let's conclude with our prayer for protection together. The light of God surrounds